Hey Barry, I gotta tell you something.
What?
He died.
Not anymore. It's so ominous. Like, how could you say that, right? uh, what's going on, guys? My name is Barry,
This is Colby.
and this is Who Watches This. Oh, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the final month of Jeffery Combs Month, and I guess it's not like a huge surprise what we're doing for the last movie because we said it already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so before we actually get into talking about anything else, let's just go ahead and do the Rhymefest trailers, and then I could ask you the questions I usually ask you at the start. All right. Was he out of his mind or just a man ahead of his time? To others, he might have seemed mad, but they know not what they don't understand. Dr. West might seem to be the decayer. You tell me in 1985's Re-Animator. Oh my gosh. Yes, we're going to be talking about the 1985's cult classic Re-Animator starring Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah.
And I think you probably know more about the other actors in this than I do.
Yeah. So there is Barbara Crampton is the main girl.
Oh,
She is in a ton of stuff. She is definitely like Beast Queen, Scream Queen extraordinaire. She was in Jacob's Wife, which
yeah.
we reviewed not too long ago.
And I got to say, boobs held up from that movie and from this one. I was like, oh, still. I was like, great boobs then, great boobs now.
Right. She was also in uh Onyx the Fortuitous, which we just recently reviewed. She's been in actually a handful of different things with Jeffrey Combs that they've kind of like
Like a little
not every
duo.
certainly not everything, but they've had a handful together.
Oh, that's awesome for them. Yeah. Gosh, yeah. It's funny too because like I haven't seen this since high school. Like I think I watched it in passing because I was like I was at the ancient decayed business Hollywood video,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's when I first saw this because I was like walking through the aisles and then I was like, oh, this has a really cool poster, or like movie cover, like a DVD cover,
Right.
and I was like, I've never seen this, so it's like still early days of like the internet. Super like forums and all that stuff talking about cult movies, but it was still pretty niche. It wasn't as popular as it is today, and gotta say it holds up still.
Oh, right. With it being 99% practical,
Yeah,
still like it's exactly the same movie. Like,
but
yeah,
but like
so good.
yeah, not even just like the practical effects of this movie, but like also like just the story, the acting was pretty decent. Like it wasn't
I,
super.
right?
It's a campy scenario, but it was like, oh, everyone kind of like tried. Everyone tried for this movie. Colby, when was the first time you watched Reanimator?
So so a year after Re-Animator came out, From Beyond came out,
Okay.
and I saw From Beyond, and that's also Jeffrey Combs, also Barbara Crampton, and from that movie, I like you said, video store saw Re-Animator, and I thought Re-Animator followed it
Oh, okay.
From Beyond, but actually the other way around.
Oh,
Both Lovecraftian stories, but not no connection between the two.
oh. So you rented it from the VHS store, and
Yep.
did you have to watch this on low volume at certain points at your house?
I no, because actually, when it first got released,
Hmm.
uh, they were scared about the ratings,
Yeah.
so it was more cut than it is now.
Oh,
I, really, only I think it said like 2 minutes and 10 seconds shorter than it is now,
yeah.
but like the most goriest scenes were like shortened, so they weren't quite as gory. The weird headless kind of molestation
Yeah.
scene was cut out
Oh.
or very much shortened. Um,
Oh man, because so the funny thing about it is I watched this movie on YouTube,
hmm,
and it had every bit.
I,
I was like,
Tubi also has the
oh, was
full
it on
thing
Tubi?
now. Yeah,
Oh man, I would have watched it downstairs if I knew it was on Tubi. Oh man, but no, yeah, let's get into this movie. So like just in case you out there have not seen this movie, movie starts super abrupt, right? It's some college, like you're like at some sort of learning institution, and there's just a group of people just storming the halls
yep.
and burst into like a classroom or like a lab, and over the body of the decorated professor is Jeffrey Combs, and he's like, "I'm trying to save him."
Yeah. It's like a college in like Switzerland or something.
Yeah, like and everyone's like, they drape Jeffrey, Herbert West off of him. They're like, "What are you doing? You murdered him!" And all of a sudden, the professor gets up and he's like, "Ugh." And we get like a pretty sweet, like little eyeball popping scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, at first, I was like, "Was this how this movie started?" Because it starts so abruptly.
Right. Hey, it's a great catch.
Yeah.
Like it immediately catches you, and you're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, then we get the title sequence, H.P. Lovecraft inspired or from a story from H.P. Lovecraft. And then all of a sudden we are thrown into an ER situation, presumably at a different hospital, and Dr. Dan,
Because now we're in America.
yeah, good old USA,
Yep.
where we tariff everything and make the middle class and lower class pay for it. uh, not to get too political, sorry. But no, yeah, Dr. Dan, he's performing CPR on a woman, trying to save her, but the nurse is like, "Doctor, you have to learn how to let go sometimes." And he's a resident. It was like he's like third year into it, and he's like, "Damn it, I'm a doctor." But yeah, it's just like kind of like a bad situation. It's like a learning experience for him, for a lot of like doctors that you just can't save everyone, right?
Right, and that's always you always hear the doctors being like, "That's the saving the people is the best part," but
Yeah.
how hard it is if when
When you
you
can't.
lose somebody.
Yeah. But no, and so yeah, it kind of cuts away to it where he's like getting talked to by the dean, by the professor, and he's like, "Oh, I have to introduce you to somebody new that's gonna join you in your third year residency."
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh, like," because I was like in my head, I was like, "Why just Doctor Dan?" Because later we get a shot of them in class, and there's like a whole class full of like students that presumably didn't get introduced to Herbert West.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but yeah,
Dan Kane.
yeah, but yeah. So they get introduced a little bit. Jeffrey Combs. Jeffrey Combs. Dr. West he's coming like he's like battle hardened or something like that.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's like, I know more than you guys do. I'm just running through the steps
Yeah,
so that I
yeah.
could.
So I can just get my doctorate and get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
But he gets introduced to the major professor of the university, and they're like, "Oh, you worked under, Dr. Peacock." I don't know the original doctor's name, and and Herbert is, oh God, what is the other doctor's name?
So, Dr. Hill
Yeah,
is basically the tall man
yeah.
for
And
this.
Herbert West is like, Dr. Hill, everything that you've ever worked on is outdated. Yeah, it's not a really great first impression on anybody.
Right.
Because he's like, yeah, he's like, your theory on the brain being able to live past, was it 6 to 12 seconds or something like that?
Yeah.
I forgot the exact numbers. Yeah, it's just not a great meeting for these two. Because he's like, you are just riding on the coattails of Dr. Peacock.
And every time he disagrees, like at the beginning, because every time he disagrees, he snaps his pencil, and he goes through like 4 pencils before the doctor's like, "What is your problem,
Yeah, he's like,
Mister West?"
yeah. And he's just like, I don't think there's much for me to learn here from you, but protocol is protocol. You basically is what he's saying.
Yep.
It's a huge challenge of authority. But after that, we follow Dr. Dan,
Yeah.
and meets up with his,
It's like the sexy, like when you have a doctor who's sexy. He's just by his first name. It's Dr. Dan.
yeah, not Dr. Kane. He's like,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, he's also the guy that has like the what's it called, the Batman scrubs, and he's like making jokes like, "Hey, you're fat."
Right. This is all handsome.
Yeah.
Later on, you see him without his shirt on, and he's all like
Buff.
fit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super ripped. Like he's like, yeah, I have enough time to save lives and get ripped. But no, yeah, and so we meet him with what's her name, Barbara?
Yeah.
Oh, what's her
Megan.
name? Megan. And like they're really sweet on each other, and then right away it's a sex scene. I was like, oh my god! I was watching some of this downstairs on YouTube, and I was like, oh, I have to lower the volume. I was like, Jesus, they're having sex right now. Yeah, but she's like, you could tell their relationship is rather complicated because they're like, oh, just one more year and then I'll become a full-fledged doctor and then we can come out with our relationship, because he's like, please stay, and she's like, I can't stay.
Right, because her dad is the dean of the college.
Yeah, and Dr. Dan is a scholarship student.
Yep.
You know what that means? Poor. He's like, look at you. The only reason you're in this school is because you worked really hard, but you're poor.
Yep.
It's like, I feel like that's always like the guy that you want to root for if he's dating your daughter. He's like, that guy's a hard worker. Like, he pulled himself up by his bootstraps and got to like this prestigious college and really,
right.
Yeah,
A go-getter.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, you don't want the guy who's poor that's like, I play Fortnite 17 hours a day.
That guy might be
I want
really
to
rich
become
too.
a streamer.
Well, if you're playing 17 hours a day and you're not streaming, you're already failing. If you're gonna play
Right.
17 hours a day, you might as well stream it. Nah, he's like, oh no, I want the guy that's from a prestigious family that's probably gonna cut corners. Oh man, but no, all of a sudden, they play like a little cute game where he gets underneath the sheets and he's like, oh, I'm a ghost, and she's like, stop it, Dan, stop it. I was like, it's kind of getting weird at a certain point, because
Yeah.
but all of a sudden, so there's a knocking at the door, and she opens it, and it is Herbert West.
Yep. He is like, hey, you were looking for a roommate, so I tore down your sign because I don't want anybody else to be the guy who's living here.
Yeah, and I showed up at like 11 o'clock, and for a second there, I thought he was gonna like smell the air, and he's like, fornication.
And she's like, I don't think you're going to be the right person. And he just is like, here's first month's rent. Boom.
Yeah, and Dan is like, okay.
I'm taking the cellar.
Yeah. Well, no, he's like, do you have a basement? And he's like,
Right.
yeah, we have a basement. Good. I need it for my research. Here's an extra 100 for that.
Yep.
And yeah, just put some money. Dan's obviously a scholarship student, so and having more money isn't a bad thing.
Right.
Especially a guy who's paying cash. But no, and so like the next day we are in lecture, and it goes well enough for Dr. Hill. He's like showing all the students everything, but then Herbert is like just breaking pencil after pencil. And there's like even a close shot of him like putting the pencil up to his face and waiting for Dr. Hill to have another thought, and then he breaks it and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
I look forward to failing you this semester.
Yeah, it's not really the greatest look for him, but Dr. West gets super upset, and he's like, "You were supposed to be educating the minds, the next greatest minds, and here you are just spilling out outdated dribble."
Yep.
And all the students are like, "Holy shit, what's happening?"
Yeah, but I guess like if you're like, I'm gonna be the doctor who's like giving people, removing appendixes and stuff. The theories on life and death and how long a brainstem lives don't necessarily, pertain to you.
But like you're seeing a student openly challenge like a decorated doctor.
Right.
So I'd be like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" Oh man, but yeah, no. Later that we cut to another scene of like Dan and Megan at home, and she's like, "Was it Mr. Wiggles? Where's Mr. Wiggles?" I forgot what the cat's name is, but
oh right, yeah,
yeah. I always feel like Wiggles is a pretty safe cat name. And she's like looking for it, but she can't find it, and then she like rudely goes into the roommate's room.
Yep. Yeah, not just like, let me crack the door and make sure that the cat didn't like get locked in here.
Yeah.
But she's like, I'm gonna open the door and just like walk on in and like just start looking at your stuff.
Yeah, super rude. But Mr. Wiggles is in the refrigerator.
Yes.
And she freaks out. Like Megan has had like this sort of weird feeling about Herbert West from the first meeting. So she already doesn't really like this guy. And she's like, "You killed him. You killed Mr. Wiggles." And Herbert is like, No, I didn't. Listen, earlier I found Mr. Wiggles suffocated underneath the trash can. And I put it in here because I didn't want Dan to find his cat like that.
Right. And you guys were at dinner with your dad, so it wasn't like I'm going to call over there and disturb you to let you know that your cat's dead. I just tell you when you get back here. But then you were in my room, bitch.
Yeah, Dr. West does not give a fuck. He's like, "You're a stupid bitch." And and so like, but Dan kind of believes it. He's like, yeah. And so like Megan kind of leaves, and Dan, he's sleeping, but he starts to hear the noises of his cat.
Yeah.
And so he busts down to the basement after checking West's room, and the cat is attacking Herbert. It's like on its back. It's like that cat from Scary Movie 2 that can box.
It's really I feel like that's where they got that scene from.
Oh man. And then he picks the cat off of West's back and then chucks it at the wall, like spraying brain matter all over the wall. And he's like, "My cat wasn't dead. You just drugged it." And he's like, "No, Dan, now that you're here and you are privy to my plan, listen, me and Dr. Peacock have figured out a way to bring the dead back to life."
Right.
And Dan is like, "This is stupid."
And he's like, "Is your cat dead now?" And he's like, "Yes." And he picks it up and he just like drops it.
Yeah.
He's like, it's dead, right? He's like, yes, it's dead.
Yes,
It's
please
like,
stop
okay.
playing with the corpse of my cat. I like really love that cat, and you're just like throwing its dead body. And so yeah, no. And so he's like, all right, I'm gonna prove to you that my reanimation juice, which is really just glow in the dark, like from the glow in the dark sticks.
You know
Yeah.
what? Glow
Oh.
sticks were not a thing
Oh.
when this came out.
Yeah. So
They
this.
weren't a thing for like another 5 years.
Yeah, because they're still testing it. You know, it was still pretty toxic. And he's like, all right, check it out. Yeah, and he injects it, and he's like, "Hey, remember, its body is super broken, so don't expect it to tango." And it does end up coming back to life. It starts to meow, and he's like, "Why is it making that noise?" I don't know. That's what cats noises do, you know?
Well, because it's in pain. It's broken
Yeah,
in half. You just slammed it against the wall.
yeah. You slammed your own beloved pet. And Doc Dan is like, "I'm gonna tell the dean," and he's like, "If you tell the dean, I'm gonna tell him that you're porking his daughter."
Yep.
Yeah. We both got secrets now, Dan. So you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna help me. You're gonna help me get a fresh body.
Yep.
But Dan goes to the dean, and he's like, "Yo, man, Dr. West, he's into some like really mad science stuff, and he's formulated a concoction that could bring the dead back to life. Not in the greatest way, though." Dean's like, Jesus, I knew you were trouble. And he's like, no, really, your daughter also knows. He's like, what was my daughter doing with you?
Yep.
You are, did he expel him? That's not grounds for expulsion, is it?
He expelled
Dr. West.
West,
Yeah.
but then he was like, I'm gonna take away your scholarship
Oh, yeah.
so that you're gonna have to work to stay in.
Yeah, you're going to have to pay this exorbitant amount of tuition money to
Yeah.
stay in here, which means you'll probably fail and have to go to the second best school.
You'll be too busy working to pay it off to be spending any time with my daughter.
And then that means you're going to go back to where you belong. Poor but hardworking. And so, like, Dan is like, this is fucked up. And so he kind of is like, well, now that my tuition money is gone, the only kind of money that can kind of put me through school is grant money from this research.
Yes.
And so he helps sneak in Dr. West into the morgue of the hospital that he works at. Meanwhile, the dean is like, "Oh, what is Dr. Dan doing there? He's not supposed to be working there right now. He's
right
up to something." And so they end up like, Wes and Dan are in the morgue trying to look for a fresh body. He injects it with some of his reanimator juice.
Yep.
Ends up bringing this guy back to life, but it's out of control. It's very zombie-like and everything.
Right, yeah.
And then meanwhile, the dean is going there, and he gets, Kool-Aid man. He gets sandwiched by the door of the morgue.
Right, because for some reason, when you bring somebody back to life, they're dumb and wild, but yet incredibly strong.
Oh, it's like they have no limiters,
Yeah.
Oh man, and the dean ends up getting murdered by this monster, or like this reanimated body, and so like Wes is like, this is gonna be the freshest specimen that we'll have. Daddy.
Yeah. Obviously, the other guy didn't work because he was dead too long. But if we got the dean here and he just died, we can get him going again within like 5 minutes. Then it's under the 9-minute threshold or whatever.
Yeah. So they juice him up, but he goes kind of crazy as well. And now the daughter has come to check up on her dad, and her dad is obviously all really messed up. The smartest person in this whole movie is the security guard of the morgue. And he's like, Jesus Christ. And so the dean ends up in the possession of Dr. Hill. And Dr. Hill is like talking to Megan. He's like, I'm going to try my very best to help him, but I need your consent to
Right. To do
perform.
exploratory surgery on his brain.
And she's like, in tears and everything. But then Dr. Hill gets super weird. He's like, "Oh, Megan, you're so alone. If you need someone to comfort you emotionally and physically, I'm here."
Right. It is like the super creepy. And they don't really explain it, but like Dr. Hill has like this weird hypnotic power. Like when he's talking to people, I pointed from my eyes, and so that all of you who are just listening know what I'm talking about. This hypnotic power where he like has this very intense stare when he's talking to people, and they kind of don't bow to his whim, kind of.
Well, like, okay, so like, if obviously this movie is like, I don't know, 30, 40 years old. I can't do math right now. But like, no, he does explain that he had been performing lobotomies on people to be able to control them.
Right.
Never explain how he's controlling them. I don't know if he could have some sort of the shine. No, that's a different. That's Stephen King, not The Shine. But yeah, he has some sort of like hypnotic like stare. But I don't know about these lobotomies that he's doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because definitely later on, the lobotomies, like, he's got full control.
Yeah.
But the people, like, he's kind of got this hypnotic stare that he kind of gets people.
In my head, I was just like, oh, he's like being, like, he's trying to do this intimidation thing, but he's getting really close to me. So I'm just going to say whatever he wants so I could, like, leave the situation.
That might be it, too. Yeah.
But Dad meets up with Megan, and she was like, "What are you doing here? You helped him." And he's like, "No, like, he has this thing. It still needs to get tweaked." And trying to explain this whole situation. Meanwhile, Dr. Hill is like, "Oh, Mr. West has found something extraordinary."
Yes.
And so, yeah, he ends up going to Herbert West's lab, and he's like, "Hello, Dr. West." Doing the whole villain spiel. He's like, "All that you are doing will be done under me. So when we figure this whole thing out, I will get all the credit."
Yep.
And he's like,
and there's the stare. He's like, "Now give me your notes." And West is like, "Here's my notebook."
Yeah, because I mean, Dr. Hill's old, but he is towering over Jeffrey Combs.
That's true. That is, yeah, he is.
And so, Jeffrey Combs, he's like, "Oh, well, here you go," and he like starts to look at the samples through the microscope. Well, while that happens, like, Dr. West is like, "You're not taking my work, dude." He grabs a shovel and obliterates this dude. Like, he hits him in the head, and then he dismembers or beheads him.
Beheads him, yeah.
And he's like, another fresh specimen. And so he injects both the head and the body with the Re-Animator juice.
Right. Not putting them together, but separately.
Separately. And this is where the movie goes into like super campy. Because like he puts a lot into Dr. Hill's head, and Dr. Hill's head becomes conscious, more conscious than the other ones that we've seen. But while he does that, the body all of a sudden rises up and then like knocks out
West.
Yeah, West. But before
it takes the head.
Yeah. But before Dr. Hill goes to Herbert West, he goes to the dean that's in his care and lobotomizes him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, Dean, it is time for you to do my bidding." And sends the dean to retrieve, first of all, probably kill Dr. Dan, but retrieve his daughter.
Yeah.
And so, like, when Herbert wakes up, he gets woken up by Dr. Dan, And Wes is like, "Oh my God, he took all of my work." And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Dr. Hill." And he's like, "Oh." And he's like, "I had to kill him." And he's like, "You have to stop this." And he's like,
I had to
"No."
kill him, and then I brought him back.
Yeah. And so now they're like, "Okay, we have to try to figure out, where would you have taken him?" He's like, "I know exactly where." And then we cut to Dr. Hill, who, goes to his office, but then like after he goes to like the morgue, and then that's when the dean brings his daughter and uh unclothes her,
Yeah,
and we get like the weirdest like scene I've seen in a long time. He's like, Dr. Hill's body takes his head and kind of drapes it over Megan's like nude body. It was pretty much
yeah,
assaulting her.
right.
And she's like chained up, and he's like, it's like this body's holding his head, and the head is like licking parts of it. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yes, it's
And it looks like it's about to shove the head in between her legs.
right. Yeah,
And then Herbert is like, he comes in and he's like, "Huh, I see. This is what you do. This is how you plan to operate. You come back to life only to sexually assault this student that you've been unappropriately pining for. You disgusting monster." He's doing this to distract Dr. Hill from Dan escaping with Megan.
yeah.
And Dr. Dan is like, he's like, "How do you plan to stop me, Mr. West?" And he's like, "I have a plan." And he's like, "So do I." And all these bodies pop up
Right.
simultaneously.
All the other dead bodies in the morgue are all like, "Rah, rah."
Yeah, and then like we get a super chaotic moment. Everyone's fighting everybody. The dean actually kind of wakes up from his like lucidity to protect his daughter.
Right, right.
And like the funniest portion in here, right, is like Dr. West like grabs his bag, he's trying to escape, but he's like, "Oh, I have to stop him, stop Dr. Hill." And he gives it to Dan. He's like, "Take this. I gotta stop this guy." And he pulls out two vials filled with the reanimator liquid. And it was so funny because he's like, "How do you plan to stop him?" And he's like, "Overload. Oh wait, no, overdose."
Overdose.
And
Yeah.
it's so funny because in the comments of this movie, they're like, he screamed out overdose like it was a Kamehameha from Dragon Ball Z. But Dr. West seemingly gets entangled by Dr. Hill's body, who's now like every portion of his body is like out to kill.
Right, right. It's almost like he juiced him so much that now all the parts are, yeah, like his guts are
Reanimated.
coming out as like tentacles, and yeah.
And he gets entangled by this, and what's it called? He tosses his book bag to Dan, and he's like, "My notes, finish my work." This is a movie that was like, we don't know if we're gonna get a sequel.
Right. Yes.
They didn't know that they were gonna get
100%.
what, three more sequels after this movie. And so now Dr. Dan and Megan are trying to escape the hospital, but she ends up getting caught by one of the reanimated bodies, and she ends up getting choked to death.
Yeah.
And so like, Dan, and then like a lot of things are happening because of the fight that broke out, and like a chemical alarm is going off and everything.
Right. So everybody in the hospital's panicking.
Yeah.
There's that half dozen zombie type
Yeah.
monsters
Just like roaming
now on
around.
the rampage.
Yeah. But Dr. Dan is like, "Oh, I need to save Megan," and one of the nurses is like, "Dr. Dan, she's passed." And he's like,
Yeah.
he's crying over this, but then he goes into the book bag and he's like, pulls out the reanimator syringe, and he's like, "Not anymore." He doesn't say that. I thought it would have been really cool if he said that. It would have been a nice little callback to Dr. West saying it.
Yeah.
And then we cut to credits to a scream.
Right. It's actually I wrote like super vividly remember that like he pulls out the syringe and then it fades to black, but you can still see the green of the syringe.
Yeah.
And then the green just like slowly disappears
Yeah.
as like he's injecting it. For some reason, as like a, I don't know, 12-year-old, 14-year-old, whatever I was when I was watching this, like that scene stands out to me like more than anything else. And then, yeah. And then as soon as it's gone, you hear the scream and then credits are rolling.
Yeah. All right, before we get into our thoughts about, there's no post credit, right?
No, not on this.
All right, before we get into our thoughts about the movie, let's go into our other section, high star and low star. Kobe?
Like every single review was a 10 out of 10. Like there was nothing else. There might have been. I probably just sorted it that way. 10 out of 10. Amazing. This film is the centerpiece of many careers, and it is the testament to preparation, dedication, hard work, fun, and creativity. It stands out amongst 80s horror films as one of the best from that decade. A decade well known for its offerings, not only in horror genre, but in film in general. For all of its gore and lurid subject matter, it remains lighthearted, campy, and entertaining throughout its runtime. It is owed to everyone involved. Intent on giving viewers more than the price of a ticket, the cast and crew went the extra mile to make sure or make something of real value when they could have treated it as an average money-making non-event like most films churned out in this genre. It is wonderful as it is spiritual success. Oh, as its spiritual successor from Beyond. Meaning the next movie.
Yeah. And very few low ratings. The only one I got from 1 out of 10 was like, this movie sucked. So I was like, I don't want to do that. It was like the only one too, so that just like gives you a little testament to like how beloved this movie is as a cult classic. I found a decent one at 2 out of 10. That has something. Well, what a monumental waste. This is a prime example of what can happen when someone who has no affinity whatsoever for the genre tries to make a horror film. Re-Animator is, in a word, horrible. Combs might have been a good choice to play Herbert West, but the choice of Stuart Gordon as director was a big mistake. And why was he considered one of the masters of horror? Had the producers of that show never heard of George Romero or David Cronenberg or even Sam Raimi? The only part of this movie that's tolerable at all are the scenes involving Rufus, the resurrected cat. In particular, the scene where Rufus sinks his claws into West's back and refuses to let go. How is that for a sad commentary on this one? It would be interesting to see a filmmaker like John Carpenter or George Romero or David Cronenberg or Guillermo del Toro, the latter especially, tackle a big screen version of H.P. Lovecraft. I think that's a pretty unfair, review of this movie. It's clear to see why Stuart Gordon would be considered like one of the masters of horror, like for this, because a lot of directors who love horror and have decided to go in that route, I believe, really love Re-Animator as a movie.
Right. Oh no, it's total classic.
Yeah. Because like this movie, it takes itself seriously enough to where it doesn't go like, oh, this supposed to be a serious movie? It takes its portions, it takes its serious parts where it needs to be serious, and then it has like the goofy Re-Animator stuff happen. But yeah, like no, I think usually I try to find some little tidbits of like little reviews to be like, I could see that. But this one, I think you wanted a little bit more. But H.P. Lovecraft has always been a really hard subject to tackle in a visual media format.
Right. Yeah.
And I think this one is probably one of the more plausible ones to depict on screen. Because most of H.P. Lovecraft's like horror is like the unknown.
Right. Yeah. Being scared of what's not there.
Yeah, you know,
Like the color of space we did. I thought that was a good take off of that kind of story as well.
yeah, and
But it was
and this one is scarily plausible. Like somebody could possibly do this science wise.
right.
You know, and so like to say that like all these other directors could have done better, I was like, I think they might have just been the same. Like Guillermo del Toro, no, George Romero is like from a different genre of horror films.
Right.
You know, just because these are like reanimated corpses don't mean they're zombies. And so, and like most of George Romero's like zombie films were, they had a lot of what political undertones.
Right. And like Sam Raimi, like I, he's got it would be the same film, just like a different style. Like, I mean, we got the Evil Dead stuff from him, but it's like also a good mix. He happened to have Bruce Campbell, and here we got Jeffrey Combs, and just all of us. If it worked out the other way around, who knows? Maybe Jeffrey Combs would have been in all Sam Raimi's stuff.
Exactly. And so like, but that's also another director that has a severely different style.
Right. Yeah.
Because as much as like I love Sam Raimi, like I love his like his movies that he's done, like the Spider-Man movies. I also like what's it called, the Doctor Strange movie,
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of people were like, I didn't like it as much. I was like, oh no, that was classic Sam Raimi. Like someone gave Sam Raimi a big budget and he completely like he killed that thing. With all the creepy like scenes that they had in there with like Wanda,
totally.
crawling out of like shit, like mirrors and shit like that. But I think you're just like the low reviews kind of just rattling off like different horror directors, but without taking into consideration like their style.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like, so, like, Kobe, when you watched this, like, as a kid, did you and your friends talk about it? Like, what was your first, like, initial reaction from your memory?
Oh no, I was just like literally like after I saw it, I was like, this is like the greatest horror movie I ever saw, because it's not. I hate to say it, but I was like a big baby. I really wanted to like horror movies, but I didn't want it to be like super intense, super scary horror movie that was going to give me nightmares. And like a horror movie like this was enough to be like, whoa, that was creepy and gross. But there was enough like jokes that it was like
Lighthearted.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't have to sleep with all the lights on for the next 10 days.
Oh man, no, I think I always grew. I never really had too many nightmares from like watching horror films as a kid, because in my head it's like it's just a movie,
Right.
And I think if I watched this a little bit younger, I was like, oh, this is super awesome. This movie had everything. It had like exploding body parts. It had boobs. And like, I want to preface this to like the people that are like, oh, this guy just talks about boobs all the time. But like back in like,
it's like, but I also like butts.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love butts too. But like back in the 90s, right? You had to like beg your older cousins. You're like, oh, please, can I get a nudie magazine?
Yeah, there was no internet.
Yeah.
Like, you were like, yes, the semi-annual Victoria's Secret catalog just came out, and
Yeah.
I got stole it out of the mailbox, so my mom doesn't even know it's missing.
Yeah, or like that one time a year, like, during daylight savings time, where like you would have that hour like go forward, or I forgot what it was, forward or backwards, where the cable company would forget, and then like you got like an hour free of like the Spice Channel or whatever it was. And you're like ready for that day because you'd have your VHS ready to record that 1 hour.
Yep.
But no, like no, and yeah, this movie is like it gets super campy at the end, and I think that's like my favorite part. But like I think the beginning of the portion, the beginning of this movie, or like the first half of it, you it builds enough character development where you can kind of understand everybody's like POV.
Oh, right, totally. And yeah, and it's West isn't like never really like I whenever I've watched this, it's never come across to me that he's a bad guy. He's just like, hey, I'm a rule breaker bad guy. I have this incredible invention, but it's just, nobody's going to let me experiment on people. So I kind of have to do it like
On the low.
right. And if I end up killing some people, driving some people insane, making some zombies, but in the long run, I cure death.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it's okay that I made
Right.
some.
Because then, like, it's like, how many people died in the search of penicillin?
I, right,
You know what
exactly.
I mean? Guys, all this morality is stopping us from progressing as a human race. Because
Yep.
if we were able to cure death, that means we would be able to go into space and explore more and spread our seed across this galaxy. Because I'd be like, in reality, right? When you think about it, in reality, if you're able to cure death and stop it, like obviously we would run out of resources.
Right. Yeah.
And so at a certain point, yeah, we would have to go and conquer other planets, try to, but it would always end up the same, super war of the worlds. We wouldn't be able to breathe their atmosphere, and then we would die. That's how we would die.
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know. Or, we could be like bio-boosted Guyver and we could become guinea pigs for other alien races. And he's like, oh, look at this species. It takes parasites in so well.
Right. But again, the first few are going to die as they're experimenting on us before they make us into, human weapons.
Or bioweapons.
Right. Yeah.
And then we can continue to go and conquer like a hive swarm that we really are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, people don't understand. We are what you should fear. Oh man, but yeah, no, and then like, I actually super love like Jeffrey Combs in this, just because of how usually in his movies he's always like super campy.
Yeah.
But this one, it's like it's campy where it needs to be. But I feel like he's acting like in this very stoic science. Like he's like, I'm a serious scientist and I'm very passionate about my work. It's not like campy like last week's movie where he's like, oh, is she a shark man? It's not like that. But he's like, you can kind of like, if you put yourself in his shoes, you're like, oh, I probably would. I probably would.
Yeah, it's right because you do it the greater good,
For the greater good.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was kind of looking at. So I watched this, and then I watched the sequel, Bride of Re-Animator, and so it's like this one's like about like kind of like stopping death, and then the Bride of Re-Animator is like creating life, because that one's kind of leans more into like the Frankenstein, because they build a woman with the heart of Meg because they're like, this is the part of her that you loved is, her heart. So if we could just build a body around it, you could have Meg back.
Oh, so can you explain how because presumably Dr. West dies at the end of the movie one.
So they give it's like 6 months later, and he's back.
No explanation of how he escaped that the intestines that are like tentacles.
Right. But it's Dr. Dan also.
Oh,
and
he
so
returns for the second movie.
Yep. And then the third one is Return to Re-Animator, and then that one is 20 years in the future, but the very beginning is directly off of the end of the second one, the Bride of Re-Animator.
Nice.
To like link it in,
yeah.
And then you get like a jump 20 years into the future of somebody who saw the living dead,
mm-hmm.
and is like, I have to find out where Dr. West is. I got to find this guy so I can see how he did it. I was like a teenager, and I understand that that's possible, but how is it possible? I got to find, and then eventually he finds him, and then it's like 20 years later, and then they go from there.
Oh man, so yeah, just really a cohesive sequels.
And then there was also a fourth one that was scripted called The Island of the Re-Animator, and that apparently was going to be like kind of like an Island of Dr. Moreau kind of thing, where it was like an island filled with all his mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah, the fourth one is like where it really goes off the rails. Oh man, but yeah, this month has been pretty fun watching all of like Jeffrey Combs like movies. Just because I feel like he doesn't get as much love as he should.
Definitely, yeah. Like, cause you're like I kind of made the joke about like, oh, if Sam Raimi knew him instead of Bruce Campbell, we may have had a different trajectory of movies. But like, definitely he deserves that same
status
yeah
that Bruce Campbell has. I mean, it's just like, I think the branding on Bruce Campbell was just a little bit stronger because he got the catchphrase, the groovy. and he has like, he has the iconic like what's it called, chainsaw hand.
Right. Yes.
And
I feel like he's got a couple like you said, like weird things that just kind of make him slightly more iconic, and then because of that, like the movies and stuff he's done, he's got a little bit a little bit bigger cult following.
Yeah, and like and obviously it's mainly because Sam Raimi keeps they keep giving him big movies to do, like Spider-Man and stuff like that. And
right.
He's like, hey man, he's like Adam Sandler. It's like an Adam Sandler situation where he always puts his friends in his movies. And you're like, oh,
I love that. It always. Hey, Gunn does that too.
Yeah. With what's it called? His wife, one of them, his brother.
Yeah. I love it. You kind of like you really.
Yeah, and freaking what's his face? Firefly.
Yeah.
Oh god, what's his name? Oh, it's gonna bother me. I gotta look it up later. The Rookie. Freaking Green Lantern now. And Kyle Rayner. Oh my god, I love that they gave him like the super goofy haircut too. What is it, like the bowl cut?
Yep.
The bowl cut on like a ginger is like hilarious. It doesn't give the same style as like an Asian kid with bowl cut. Yeah, like like unfortunately, like Jeffrey Combs didn't have a director that was like, "Hey man, I need you to be in all of my movies, even if it's like for small little cameos."
Right. Yeah, but, I mean, it was kind of like he had a studio. Like he did a bunch of movies for like the same studios where he did like Castle Freak and
Yeah,
it
wasn't
looked
Castle
like
Freak a full moon movie?
yeah, I think so.
Oh man, yeah, I think I watched Mystery Science Theater watching that movie. Oh man, but we're coming up to our hour, so first of all, I want to go ahead and thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to check all of our other actor-related months with Nicolas Cage, Danny Trejo, Robert Pattinson, and Rosario Dawson. We also have a bunch of like theme months that you guys can check out. You know, in space, space debris.
Space Debris, yeah.
Yeah,
Live action anime,
yeah, you know, live action video games month.
right?
I think we have a lot there for you guys. But if this is the first time you guys are joining us, we do our reviews in 4 different sections. We have Stream It, DVD it, Blu-ray it, and the Ultimate Box Collection.
And now that I just watched them all, 100% Ultimate Box Collection.
Mm-hmm.
Throw the 3 movies in there. Just yeah, absolutely no.
Yeah, but I need those. I need that box collection to like glow in the dark green. You know, be really cool.
Right.
Yeah, because I think this is like this is like one of the rare instances where I go, yeah, I need this Ultimate Box Collection because it's so good. It's so good. I love it. I was like, oh man, I can't believe I haven't seen this in so long, and it's just like it still holds up so well. And it kind of is like again, it's just like another fucking testament to like practical effects being really good in your movies.
And there's some deleted scenes that are like interesting that would change the kind of the narrative of the story. Like one of the deleted scenes is West is addicted to the the liquid.
Re-Animator juice.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Dr. Dan's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, if I don't sleep, I can work twice as hard on this. So if I just give myself a little tiny injection, then it keeps my brain alive so I don't ever have to sleep and I can work on my experiments 24 hours a day."
Oh yeah, that would have changed a lot, I think. And maybe they're like, oh, we can't do that, you know, because then people are gonna be like, well, why didn't he turn mad, you know?
Right, yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, no, thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to check all of our links down below where we have all of our social medias.
Yeah, we got our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, YouTube. We're on everything.
Yeah.
Hey, and we've been doing this a long time. So guys, jump on one of those, send us a message, suggest some movies that you want us to review, suggest some theme months. Because we were just talking about that. We were like, oh man, what are we going to do for the next month? What themes haven't we done yet?
Yeah. And after like 5 years, yeah, we've done a lot of themes for you guys. But I know, yeah, thank you guys for joining us. My name is Barry.
This is Colby.
And this is Who Watches This. If you guys want to check out the theme music, it does leave Rosevere. It's called Arcade Montage. It's on our album Music Podcast 3, and the Bandcamp is down below.
Thank you.